Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Fularami Ajayi, popularly known as Ajayi Enigma. So today we shall be talking about understanding the working theory and the common sense theory. Understanding the working theory and the common sense theory. If you have not watched the first video, please do ensure you watch the first video so you can understand the first theories I've explained, the normative theory of the press. Now, according to Fularami, there are four theories. We have the normative theory of the press, we have the working theory, we have the common sense theory, and then we have the social science theory. And I said some people believe also that we have the media effect theory. There are different theories of mass communication. But in this video, I will be explaining the working theory and the social science, the common sense theory. I will be explaining the working theory and the common sense theory. So let's get down to brass tacks. First off, working theory. Now, the working theory is divided into two theories. We have the selective theory and we have the gatekeeping theory. The working theory is divided into two. We have the selectivity theory and we have the gatekeeping theory. Now, the working theory consists of guidelines, conventions, values, rules, regulations that guide the process of media productions. Now, the working theory consists of guidelines, consists of conventions, consists of rules and regulations, consists of processes that guides what we call the media production. Now, it gives consistency over time to media. And so one of the basic concepts of the working theory is gatekeeping. Now, don't forget that I said that the working theory is what? The working theory talks about the guidelines, the conventions, the values, the rules, the regulations that guides what we call the media production. That is, by a media person, the working theory teaches you or helps you to know what and what you need to do when you are performing your job. So there are guidelines, there are principles, there are conventions that guides how media personnel, media professionals, neophytes in the media industry, how they should go about doing their daily media activities. And so, what is the gatekeeping theory? Now, one of the things that we also have to notice that it involves the placement of pictures. It involves the placement of pictures on the news story. The involvement of placement of pictures on the news story. We get that. Now, the concept of gatekeeping theory was coined by Kurt Lewin in 1958. Now, Kurt Lewin described that there are certain individuals who controls food channel during the war. And later, he now said that those who control these people can be likened to those who control the media. Now, those who control the media controls what we call information. Now, those who control the media controls information. Now, the point is there is no media establishment that can transmit its messages, its whatever, without certain set of individuals deciding how the informations are to be transmitted per time. Now, the modifications, how the media can discharge their duties, certain individuals will come together to decide how they need to discharge their duties. Now, most of people call that a house tie book. A house tie book is a book that contains certain things that the media editor needs to do. You understand? Now, this way I'm actually going. Now, gatekeeping theory talks about how the media facilitates or constrain the diffusion of information, how the media facilitates or constrain the diffusion of information as to which messages they decide to pass across to the people or to their audience. Now, so the gatekeeping theory talks about how media serve as the gatekeeper of information. How media serve as a gatekeeper of information. Let's quickly add more to our knowledge. Now, gatekeeping is also known to be influenced by a number of factors, which can be ethical factors or editorial factor. Now, gatekeeping is nothing but voluntary self-censorship performed by the media themselves. Now, gatekeeping emanates from the understanding that journalists, apart from the legal restrictions of the journalistic activities, journalists have the moral rights to be socially responsible, to be able to distill, to be able to control certain information that the package and send out to their reader, their listener, or particularly the audience. So gatekeeping is like a structure of accepting and rejecting messages. It involves shaping, displaying, timing, repeating the messages for emphasis. Now, according to Kelly, the former general of Delta State Printing, he said that be a reporter, sub-editor, a journalist is first and foremost a gatekeeper. Now, what I'm trying to say is that in the gatekeeping theory, in the gatekeeping process, we have the reporter who writes the information, who brings the news story after covering a particular bit assignment. We have the senior reporter, we have the editor, and we have everyone in the production process of media information. Now, every of these individuals, even the audience, the government, the states, are also gatekeepers. Now, all of these people put together controls the influx and outflux of information. That is, they have the role that they play. Now, the reporter, the editor are gatekeepers in their own right. That is, they are the ones who control the information. Don't forget that it is the editor that decides what is news and what is not to be news. Now, media contents are controlled by media gatekeepers. So I believe that there are internal gatekeepers, there are external gatekeepers. As a mass communication student, as a media person, you are first a gatekeeper. As a news writer, as a news editor, you are a gatekeeper. I believe that is clear. So let's quickly talk about the selectivity theory. The selectivity theory. Now, the selective influence theory talks about how the media can play a significant role in changing behavior. Selective influence theory talks about how the media can play a certain role in changing behavior. Now, media can influence the audience behavior. Media can influence how people interpret messages, how people receive information, how people absorb information, how people controls and receive and react to media messages. Now, how people react to media messages can be classified to be influenced by the selectivity theory of the media. Now, under the selectivity theory, we must also understand that there are so many factors that we have to also consider. Now, what are these factors we have to consider? I mentioned selective exposure, selective perception, and selective retention. Now, under the selective exposure, now this means that the people expose themselves to messages that they can access. Now, it means that people expose themselves and access only those messages or communications which are in accordance with their established beliefs or convictions. Now, that is, people intentionally get exposed to messages that is in line with their beliefs and their convictions. That's under selective exposure. Now, this talks about how people ensure that the messages they receive is in line with their established beliefs, their convictions, and they avoid messages that differs from their point of view. Now, under the selective perception, it observes that people often interpret facts to suit their own existing biases. People interpret facts to suit their existing bias. People receive information based on their bias. Now, talk about selective retention. Now, people remember messages. People remember messages that support their opinion. People remember messages that support their opinion, and they do away with opposing views. Now, you look at selectivity theory, talks about selectivity theory to some people talks about how the media personnel, the journalist, the news writer, reporter, correspondent, and the likes, how they use their actions, their emotions, their bias to determine what will be news and what is not going to be news. Now, on the other hand, we also have other things that they also consider. But the first one I've explained is in the line of the audience. Now, talk about the common sense theory very, very briefly. Now, the common sense theory talks about, it explains the influence of ownership. It explains the influence of ownership of the media. Now, it considers how we receive the content from the media and how these contents are able to influence the perceptions of the people. Now, it explains the influence of ownership of the media. That is, it considers how we receive content from the media, from our own perspectives and views. And so you must understand that the working theory established how journalists, media persons should discharge their duties. It established that using the gatekeeping theory and the selectivity theory. Now, the common sense theory talks about the ownership of the media, how individuals react to media messages based on what we call their perceptions and the medium. Are we there? That is looking at the both theories. I believe you'll be able to get an understanding of the working theory and the common sense theory. If you have any question, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, which is the red button, and click on the notification bell to always get my videos, my spontaneous videos, as we learn the theories of mass communication together. I must confess that this video was framed by a student of mine, Olamide. Thanks for influencing the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I am Ajayi Enigma. Do have a speech in there.